Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2 of my Daydreams Beaded Crochet Shawl, and I thank you so much for being here and finishing this up together. I had loads of fun creating the border, which I made a couple of adjustments along the way. You still have two options to finish that, whether it be option A, the more pronounced triangular bottom with a bit of flounce and fullness, or option B, where we just smooth and round out that bottom a little bit for a more softened shape. And I'll show you how to work this both with and without beads. I've included a timestamp in the drop-down description section with a link to my written pattern now available in my Etsy shop. Step-by-step instructions, tips, and photos to show you where your placement is, and a link back to my tutorial. And if you'd like to check out more of my beaded projects, the links for those also below. Let Your Light Shine, Summer Beaded Crochet Scarf, and my crochet beaded bracelet. Alright, well, let's get going. And now for the border, yay! Alright, so in part 1, I said to work rows 1 and 2, 1 and 2, to your desired width, leaving enough space for however wide you want the border. I've made a little change up since then, so I want you to go ahead and work one more row 1. So you want to end this on row 1 before you start the border, because that's how we will continue on doing just another variation of what we have been working for the border. So instead of the row where we work a set of 4 double crochets, we'll be working single crochets. And then I will give you the two options, whether you want a more pronounced triangular bottom that's going to give you fullness and a bit of a flounce along the bottom, or option B, where we do just a little bit of decreasing right at the tip here to round that out. And then when we get to the very end, I will show you the last row, how to work it with or without beads. Now, if you want, you can just end on row 1, because I think this, to me, this makes a perfectly fine edging if that's all the yarn you have, or if you got it wide enough already, or if you're just done and you want to just finish end here, you certainly may do that on the wrong side, row 1, and that's okay because it stays in keeping with the texture that the cross stitch gives you, so you finish that edge. But if you want to work the border with me, then we'll carry on. And again, reminder, in that Line Brand Ferris wheel, I worked a very narrow border. But with this yarn, that Hobby Lobby Yarn Bee Hint of Silk, I only had 4 skeins, 520 yards. With this yarn, it just wasn't enough. So now for the rest of the shawl, I am going to make my border as wide as it needs to be to make up the difference. And because this yarn is discontinued, I picked up 2 colors, Hobby Lobby. The darker is cognac and the lighter is ivory, and they're Stitch 101 from Plant Fiber Pulp. It is similar in width, it's a little bit thinner, and this is the closest thing that I could find, so that's what I am going with. So go ahead, you can pause here, add another row 1 as you have been. And then now we're going to continue on with the pattern, and you either keep going in the color that you have, or you reconnect with your new color. Keep working with the same hook. My last double crochet, pull through 2, and the last leg where yarn over and pull through 2 more, I'm just going to grab my tail and tail to the back and bring that through as my yarn over, cinch those down, make sure I have a nice good tail to weave in my ends. And then now for row 1 of the border, that we're going to chain 1 this time and turn, and that will bring us to the right side. Okay, so just like we were on the right side with our set of 4 double crochets, now we're back on the right side, row 1 of the border. And because I broke each section up into its own, we're going to start over with row 1 again, just for ease of following along, and just keep each section separate. Alright, so now the chain 1 does not count as a stitch here and throughout, and we are going to place 3 single crochets in that beginning stitch. So we're doing the same thing, just working singles instead of doubles. 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 double crochets, chain 1, 4 single crochets into the chain 3 space of your cross stitch. Okay, so everything on this row is going to be the same at this point. Chain 1, jump over to the next chain 3 and place 4 single crochets. Okay, so you continue this chain 1 all the way up to your center point. Alright, so you just go ahead, you work these stitches all the way to the top. I will see you there. Okay, I am back to the center point already. As a reminder, after your last cross stitch, chain 3 space, you work that set of 4 single crochet. You do not chain 1 between that last set and the V-stitch with the chain 3 space to the right of center. Just go ahead and you jump right in to that V-stitch, place your set of 4 single crochets, and as before, instead of a double, you work a single crochet into that center, and into your center double crochet, work 1 single crochet, place a stitch marker into that stitch, and then work your 4 single crochets in the V-stitch to the left of center, and as before, you do not chain 1 after the V-stitch to the left of center and your first cross stitch on the left. You just jump right in there and place 4 single crochets, and as always, now you chain 1, work your set of 4 single crochets, chain 1, 4 all the way down the other side, and I will meet you there. And I'm at the end of row 1 of our border. I have finished the last set of 4 single crochets in the last cross stitch. Now this, which almost looks like it belongs, it's a stitch to these 3 doubles. No, it belongs to the double crochet of the cross stitch. Okay, so go ahead, chain 1 as we've been doing, and in the last 3 double crochets you place 1 single in each of the next 2 and 3 single crochets in the last. And I'm going to change colors. I'm going to give this a try. I hope it works out as I've been imagining, but either way it is definitely going to be easier for you to see. So I'm just going to bring my yarn through, and now either chain 3 as your first double crochet if that's what you've been doing, or turn, no chain, and work the alternate double crochet in the first, and then everyone work 2 more double crochet into the beginning stitch, and like before you will skip the next 3 and work a double crochet in the next. Same thing what we've been doing, you're just working into single crochets now. They're a little bit harder to see only because they're much smaller, so just pay a little closer attention to your stitch count and where you're working your double crochets. Alright, now chain 3 and cross back over the double crochet just made, and double crochet in that first skip single crochet, that third single to your right. Okay, so that is your repeat all the way up to the top, and you work it the same as before, working your cross stitch over this set of 4 to the right of center, your double V-stitch into the center single crochet, again cross stitch to the left of center, and over each set of 4 all the way down. And as always, skip the first 3, double crochet in the 4th, chain 3, cross back over and double crochet in that first skipped stitch, and place 3 double crochets into the last. And just with this very small change up, working the single crochets instead, the work becomes a little bit closer together, as you can see, and it gives just enough separation between the body of your work and the border. So here it is on the front side of the work. You can see that is taking shape already, and can see the difference in the stitches, whether you are working in the same color or changing the color. And now every one, you continue working your repeats, rows 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Set of 4 singles, cross stitch row. Now if you are working option A, which is the more pronounced triangular bottom with a bit of flounce, just because of the extra fullness that you get, you continue working until your desired width the same as we have been, and then you stop for the final finishing row that we will all work together. Now if you are working option B with the gently rounded triangular bottom, then you will repeat rows 1 and 2, and then you stop, and we will add 1 more repeat of these 2 rows. So keep in mind you will have the width of these 2 rows plus your finishing row, and we will be doing a little bit of a decrease on each of these 2 rows to get that shape. All right, and then again we'll all finish up with the finishing row together. All right, so whatever you decide, I will work mine and I will see you there. I'm back. I have worked up the width of my border as far as I can go with the yarn that I have. Don't mind all my straggly ends there, can't help that. Alright, so now we're going to move on to our finishing row or rows, depending on which version you've decided on. If you are unsure at this point, you can just watch, see how this unfolds, develops as we go, and then decide from there. That is up to you. But if you are working the triangular bottom with the more fullness at the bottom, you can end it here with the cross stitch row, which makes a nice border on its own. Or you can work 1 more row 1 with a set of 4 single crochets, just as you have been doing, and that makes a nice border also. And if you are working option B, where we just round that out a bit, then continue on with me. Now, I've already joined with my other color. All right, so now just go ahead, chain 1 and turn as we have been doing, and everything is going to be the same on this row. Start with our set of 3 single crochets in the first double crochet, 1 single crochet in each of the next 2, and before, where we chained 1 in between each set of 4 single crochets, except when we got to the very center top, we did not chain 1 on either side of that. Now we are not going to do any chain 1s at all on this entire row. You're just going to work your sets of 4 single crochets in each chain 3 space and each chain 3 space at the top all the way around, with 1 single crochet in that center double crochet, just as you have been, only difference, no chain 1s. Okay, so this one flies by pretty well. You're just doing 4 single crochets in each chain 3 space, and that acts as a decrease. I will see you at the other end. And now back down at the end of our decrease, row 1, we are going to, as always, place 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 and 3 single crochets into the last. And now I'm going to work row 2 in the same color, so that when I attach my beads, they're going to show up more, pop more on that ivory I decided for the final row, which will tie it all together, working back to the gold that I started with. Now that's my plan anyway. We'll see how it turns out. Alright, so as always, you either chain 3 and turn as your first double or begin with your alternate double crochet. And this row you are going to work each side exactly the same with your cross stitch rows. Okay, so place 2 double crochets more into that same beginning stitch, so you have 3. Then you skip the next 3 and then just jump right into working your cross stitch, chain 3, and then cross back over in the stitch you skipped, place a cross stitch. So you're going to work this all the way up the side. You won't have any chain 1 spaces in between, so just be mindful. Make sure you are working into the last single crochet in the set of 4, and then your chain 3 cross back over into the first. So just keep your eye out for each set of 4, and then we are going to do a little something different, very simple, when we get to that center top, and I will meet you there. Now I am up to my center point, my center double crochet with the V-stitch on either side. So go ahead to the V-stitch to the right, work your cross stitch, and then in that center double crochet, all we're going to do different is instead of working the double V-stitch, we are just going to work 1 V-stitch into that center single crochet. So you double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet into the center single crochet, and that is another decrease, and we'll round that out just a little bit more, and then you just continue on the other side as you have been with your cross stitch rows, working across each set of 4 single crochets. All the rest is the same going along the other side. Okay, so now our final finishing row. This is an option without beads, no beads, and just a little bit different. All you're going to do is a chain 5 and turn, skip the next double crochet, that center double crochet, and single crochet in the next. That's the beginning. Then you chain 5 and single crochet in the chain 3 space of the cross stitch. Chain 5, single crochet in the chain 3 space of the cross stitch, and that is your repeat all the way around up to the center V. Alright, so this one is really easy. I'm just going to tell you how to work that. Now you don't have to work this row if you don't want to, but I think that makes a nice little edge there. You see, just get these little drop loops, and it gives you a little bit of separation between your border. Okay, and that is what I did in the Ferris wheel cotton candy yarn, except I added beads in mine, so it will look similar just without the beads. So you just chain 5, single crochet, chain 3 space, chain 5, single crochet. And when you get to this center point, you just keep working all the way around, because we have eliminated that double crochet in the center. Okay, so you just treat the V-stitch, chain 3 V-stitch in the center, just like you treat all the other chain 3 spaces. If you are adding this finishing row and you worked the more triangular shape, then when you get to the center double crochet, you just skip over that. So you will work your chain 5 and single crochet into the chain 3 space to the right of center, skip the center double crochet, so you chain 5, single crochet, chain 5, single crochet, chain 5, all the way down. So when you come around to the end, after you've worked your last single crochet into that last chain 3 space, you chain 5, single crochet into the first double crochet, chain 5 again, skip the next double crochet, and single crochet into the last. Alright, and for all versions, do a little bit of light blocking. You may or may not need to pin it depending on the type of yarn that you use, but you just can take just a warm iron, hold it above your work, smooth it out. You can do that on the wrong side of the work. Don't flatten it. You don't want to smash your stitches down, because then you will press out these lovely raised textured areas, but just a nice bit to even up the edges, make your border nice and even. And now for attaching the beads, we are going to be switching back and forth from our regular crochet hook to our crochet thread hook. I'm working in a 1.80 millimeter. That's going to vary on the type of beads that you're using, how large your hole is, and the thickness of your yarn. So as mentioned in part 1, you need the crochet hook to have a thin enough neck where you can insert the hook into your bead and then be able to pull both the yarn and the hook back through your beads. You're going to have the thickness of the hook and the yarn to work through that. Alright, so start with your regular crochet hook, chain 2 and turn, and make your chains nice full stitches. Do not over tighten those. It's going to give you the nice drape that you need for this finishing row. Okay. Now we're going to attach a bead. You start by removing your hook, taking your crochet thread hook, picking up a bead, inserting your hook through the loop. You yarn over, and you might need to pull the yarn a little bit taut with whichever finger you use to guide your yarn. So you yarn over, pull the yarn through the loop that was on your hook, and then now pull that yarn through your bead as well, and be careful not to split your yarn. You can pull that up a little bit with your finger or hook, and you switch back to your regular hook, and now that creates a little slip stitch, locks that bead in, and now chain 3. And then you skip the next double crochet, just like I showed you working without beads, and now you're going to single crochet into the next double crochet. So you We're skipping the center double, single crocheting into that third double crochet of your beginning 3. And now your repeat sequence all the way around up to your last 3 double crochets is as follows. Chain 2, remove your regular hook, grab your thread hook, pick up a bead, insert your thread hook into the loop, yarn over, pull the loop through and through the bead. Put your regular hook back on and chain 3, single crochet into the next chain 3 space of your cross stitch, and you repeat that all the way around. Okay, and I will show you that one more time. Chain 2, set your regular hook down, pick up your thread hook, pick up a bead, insert your hook into the loop, yarn over, pull through the loop, and then pull through the bead. Grab your regular hook, insert it back into the loop, and chain 3. Single crochet into the chain 3 space. Okay, and that is all you do all the way around. This does take a little bit more time, but you know, it really does add a lot to the work. And then once you get going and you feel that control that you're having over the yarn and what you're doing, now you chain 3, you know, you just use your finger that you use to control the tension to adjust when you are inserting the bead. That makes a big difference. Oh, and when you are working the beads, go slowly, take your time. You might need to back out and start over if you get hung up or your yarn gets split from your crochet thread hook. Where it's split here, I'm just going to slide the yarn back and forth to smooth that out, and then work my chain 3 and single crochet. Alright, well, I will see you at the end. I am back down to the last 3 double crochets. I hope you did well with yours. It took a little while, but it wasn't so bad, and I just love the look and playing with beads, and to me it's so worth it, and I hope it worked out well with yours also. And this is why it's a good idea to give a light misting and just let the set dry. Just shape your bottom chains, you know, spread those out, and then they'll just lay really nicely. It'll add to the drape of the overall piece. Doesn't need too much relaxing, just a little bit, enough to just shape those out a bit. And same if you worked yours like this without any beads. Okay, so now working over the last 3 double crochet, it is like what we did in the beginning, only we're working now in the reverse order. So we begin with the chain 2, attach a bead, okay, chain 3, single crochet in the first double crochet of the 3, and again now this stitch belongs to the double crochet of the cross stitch. Work into the double crochet of the last 3, single crochet, and now again chain 2, attach your last bead, that hole was a little smaller, making everything a little tighter. Alright, now chain 3, skip the middle, the next double crochet, and single crochet in the top of your last. And that's it. Ta-da! That is it. You can do a yarn over, cut your yarn, and then sew in all your ends. I'm going to sew in my ends, show you what the finished look is like here while we're at the table. There we go, all ends sewed in. Only took me an hour and 10 minutes, which really isn't bad considering I had so many. All the ends going up the sides of the border and the ends for each skein in the body of the work, and a couple of frays here and there I had to cut out and retie in. And I was very careful doing my side edges nice and tidy. And here's the other side. That looks nice and clean too. I will just do a little light blocking just to be sure my ends lay nice and pretty and are even with good drape. Okay, well, my fiber friends, that is another one for the books. Thank you so much for being here as always. I hope you had a lot of fun with it, whether you added beads or not. Thank you for being here, for making my pattern. I'm thrilled that you did, and I would love to know if you would leave in the comment section, did you go with the more defined point triangle, the little bit softer edge at the bottom, with or without beads, all that kind of good stuff. I love to know, and what type of yarn that you used as well. All right, take good care. Hope you will come back again next time. And until then, bye for now.